everybody to the Single and Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette. I'm also the founder of Single and Stilettos. Today we have on our show Diana Antholis, and she's a life stylist and mind-body coach at dianaantholis.com. And I'm so excited to have her here today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. This is fabulous.
Yeah, this is great. Before we get started, I would love for you to tell our audience your background.
Well, as you said, I'm a life stylist and mind-body coach. And what that is helping women really understand who they are and love their lives. And so I kind of go at a holistic approach to the entire life and feeling healthy in the mind, body, and soul. And so we go deep into some emotions and try to release them. And we really go into movement too. And we just really want to make sure that the woman is happy and living a fulfilled life. And I love doing the coaching. I do some personal training as well.
That's great. And I think that's really important for women to understand that this is all interconnected. And if you don't think it is, you're wrong. And it's all interconnected also when it comes to dating. Okay, so Diana, today's topic is he didn't call. And I know it happens every time a guy doesn't call. What a woman does, it turns into this whole snowball effect of, oh my God, he doesn't like me, he met somebody else, and then he ends up calling like an hour later or whatever it is, a day later, and then she's like, oh my God, that was ridiculous. So what should a woman do when she starts to get into that snowball effect, thinking of all this negative thought process of the guy and what he's thinking about her?
I know. It can be so frustrating because our minds just spin and cycle about every possible thing the man could be doing except for calling us. And so the first thing that you do is once you have to catch yourself. When you start thinking crazy things like he just met somebody else on the street and decided to go take her out on a date, then you have to stop. Like you literally have to tell yourself, stop right now. What would my best friend say to me in this moment? Say, you're being crazy, stop thinking this way. So you stop, and then you have to try to get back into yourself and like make sure that those thoughts are outside of your brain. Like don't take them so seriously and try to get back inside and say, okay, what could seriously be going on right now? It's not about me. It's whatever he's doing. There's something else going on, but don't take it so personally.
I think that's a great tip. And also, I think a lot of women don't realize that you never know what's going on in somebody else's life. What if he's super busy at work and he hasn't had a chance to call you, or just something else happened? You just never know. So I think that's really, really important. So
Yes.
Give us your second tip for handling that.
Well, another thing to do is exactly what you said when I was saying before, try not to think that it's always about you, but then also think like, well, if he's not calling me right now, or if he hasn't called for days or whatever it might be, then is that the person that you really want in your life? Like turn it back onto you. Instead of focusing so much on him and putting all the energy on him, think, what about me? What do I really want? What do I value? What kind of respect do I deserve? I mean, really, I think sometimes we undervalue ourselves because we're waiting for somebody else to make the decision or go for it. And you have to say, well, how does that make me feel? How do I want to live like this? Why would I want to live like this? Always waiting for somebody to call me constantly. So, I mean, that's the next thing is really making sure that you focus in on what you want.
I think that's a really, really good point. And I think also a good point to make to women too is you shouldn't be waiting by the phone anyways. You should have your own life and you should be doing other things so that when he calls, he calls. If he doesn't, your whole life doesn't fall apart just because he did not call. It's not that big of a deal. So can you give us another tip for handling this?
Well, another thing is I think sometimes we get caught up in competition and we only want him to call because he's not calling. And we stop thinking about maybe something that he did that we really don't like.
Right.
And we only think about, oh, well, I have to win. I have to win. I have to have the upper hand. He has to be the one calling me. But it's like, well, let's think about this in a different way. Let's say he did a lot of things that you really didn't like. Why would you want him to call you then? I think sometimes we try to settle, and it's a little bit of a challenge to try to get him to do what we want. But take those thoughts out, put them in a separate little drawer, and say to yourself, okay, what did I like about him? What didn't I like about him? And learn. Take it as a learning experience. And one of those things can be, I don't like that he's not calling me back right now.
Right.
And then take that and use it that way, instead of making it this competition where, even if he does call you back, you don't pick up the phone because you want him to sweat it out. It can get a little bit ridiculous at that point. It's like, if you like each other, then you're going to make the effort to communicate with one another. And there's not going to be any game involved. So the game aspect, I think, is what we have to get out of, that competition.
Right, and I love that you said that, because if women can think back on a time when a guy called too much and then they were kind of turned off because he was all over, so there's that perfect balance. It's almost, I always tell people, it's a push-pull dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think that's really, really important. Well, these have been some great tips.
Thank you. Thanks. We've been through it all. Women, we know what it's like dating, even in a relationship. Even if you've been with somebody for a long time and they're not calling you back, sometimes you can spiral. The mind just can keep going. But it's really important to separate yourself from those thoughts and try to step back into your own body instead of letting something else cloud your judgment.
Right, and it's really important to just stay positive. Mm-hmm. Well, these have been some great tips, Diana. So give us your best mind-body tip for women.
Well, my best mind-body tip is to ask yourself how you want to feel. And really, really think about this. Say, how do I want to feel right now? And this can be if you're feeling kind of stressed or anxious about anything that's going on in your life. Say, how do I want to feel? And then push yourself into that and say, okay, I'm going to start thinking in ways that are going to make me feel that way. So if you want to feel happy, start thinking in ways that are going to make you happy. And ask your friends, write it down, talk to people, and kind of get yourself back into that mindset where you're thinking positively, you're being your best self, and you're exuding a lot of confidence that way.
I love that, because I think a lot of us don't think that we're in control of our emotions and how we feel, but we really are.
Absolutely.
That's great. So, Diana, tell our audience how they can find you.
Well, you can find me at unleashyoursexy.com. I am all over social media. You can find me there. My full name is Diana Antholis, and I'm the only one in the world. So you can easily find me on Google. But unleashyoursexy.com, easiest way.
And that's great. I can't believe you're the only one in the world. That's great. Yes. That's awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stilettos show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you would like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you would like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. And if you would like to get our free report on the top 10 secrets on what attracts a man and what turns him off, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.